Hey guys, this is Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. Today we're going to take a look at some player props and prize picks as well as Thrive Fantasy picks for championship weekend. As always, we have free cheat sheets in our free Facebook group. The link is in the description. We do have a premium Facebook group where we post the sheets daily, and it also comes with a Facebook chat. So feel free to subscribe to our channel if you enjoy watching player prop and sports betting videos, as we're giving away a bunch of free information here. So I've got 7 player props that jumped out at me, so I want to go ahead and run over them. I've got DraftKings pulled up. We're going to take a look at the game logs, and we're going to look at how teams have been doing. So the first one that I have is Cam Akers under. So when I was looking at his rushing yards, it was 55.5. Well, when we go back and we look at Cam Akers' game logs, he's getting a ton of carries. He had 17 and 24 over the last 2 weeks, but he averaged 3.2 and 2 yards per carry, which is awful. So he put up 55 and 48 rushing yards over the last 2 weeks. So his number on Prize Picks right now is 55.5. So he has not been over that. So he couldn't get over that last week against Tampa Bay, carrying the ball 24 times. So that's kind of a red flag. On top of that, last week he had 2 crucial fumbles. So I think Sony Michel's going to get worked in a little bit more because this is such a crucial game. But the matchup is absolutely brutal going up against San Francisco. So San Francisco, over the last 3 weeks, you can see down here on our defensive yards, is giving up only 69 total rushing yards per game, which is ridiculous. They are also one of the top teams in the NFL as the least rush yards per carry allowed. So when I went back and looked at the game logs for last week, Aaron Jones ran 12 times for 41 yards, averaged 3.4 a carry. A.J. Dillon ran 7 times for 25 yards for 3.6 yards a carry. So combined, they had 19 rushes for, 66 yards. So they were just over that number, but I don't think Cam Akers is going to be able to get there, and I don't think he gets that many carries. Now, one of the other bonuses I will show you is Thrive actually has it inflated a little bit, so we get a little bit more value if we take the under on ThriveFantasy.com. So the first one we have is Cam Akers under 55.5 rush yards. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the other one. Now on the other side, Elijah Mitchell. Now they don't have carries on Prize Pick or Thrive Fantasy, but if you have a sports book that offers rush attempts, aka carries, I love that prop. That's one that I've been hammering each week. I've only lost it once. So he had 17 carries last week. I missed it last week. They had the line at 19.5. But prior to that, he had 27, 21, 21, 22, 27, 27, and then we kind of went down. But from week 10 on, 27, 27, 22, 21, 21, 27. And most places have this at 17.5 for his carries. So I love the over. That's one of my favorite plays. If you can mix and match that with anything on your book, that's what I would go for. If you have a sports book where you can move it up and down, you can get over 20.5 at plus money, and then you can ladder it all the way up. But we don't have that on Prize Picks or Thrive, so I just wanted to throw it out there. That's one of the ones I'm going to bet at mybookie.com. But looking back at Thrive, they have a rush yard prop for Elijah Mitchell of 66.5 yards. So he didn't get it against Green Bay last week. He only had 53 yards, but he was fairly close. You know, he was inching up there. But prior to that, he had 96, 85, 119, 66, 133, and 91. So he's been getting over that consistently. So that is something that San Francisco wants to do, is they want to run the ball. So I like him going over that number. And just his basic raw projection, which I usually don't support, has him at 78 yards. So even that is over the line that we have. So I like Elijah Mitchell carries over 17.5. And then I like his rush yards over 66.5 on Prize Picks. And we'll take a look at Thrive in a minute and see if he's on there as well. Now, the next one I want to jump into is receiving yards. I have 5 plays that I like, and they're going to be fairly obvious, but I just think the lines are way too low. So the first one is Chase. So everybody knows what happened in the first matchup with Kansas City. Jamar Chase went absolutely bananas. He caught 11 of 12 targets for 266 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now, there's zero chance Kansas City is going to let him come in and do that again. And when watching that game, he was well covered. He just made amazing catches. So I don't by any means think he's going to eclipse this number, but looking at his recent games, I mean, he's Burrow's favorite target. He's got 109, 116, 266, 125. So in 4 of the last 5 games, he's been over that number easily, and he's heavily targeted with 10, 12, and 12 targets. Now on Prize Picks, his number's 84.5 yards, and I think it was a little less than that on Thrive, but we'll take a look at it. But to me, the 84.5 in a game that's got a monster total, they just played, it was a 34-31 game, put up 65 points, and he 3X'd that number. Just hitting the 85 yards I don't think will be an issue. I expect Kansas City to be up in this game. As you know, I live in Kansas City, so I'm hoping they're up in this game. And then Cincinnati's playing catch-up at the end. So Jamar Chase over. If you want to pair it with Burrow, I don't mind that. I didn't write down what Burrow's passing yard prop was. But if Chase goes off, Burrow goes off. That's typically how that works. Burrow's got 348, 446, 525. He's got some huge games. He struggled against Denver, but prior to that, 348, 300, and then he had a 244 against Las Vegas, which was kind of so-so. But either way, if you pack Burrow, Chase together, that's not a bad play. The other one is Tyreek Hill, so I want to go ahead and take a look at him. He looked healthy last week. He got a lot of targets. He did really well. In these weeks here, he was kind of struggling a little bit. He had 6 catches here for 40, but didn't really do a lot. But then last week, he finally looked good. He had 13 targets. He caught 11 balls for 150 yards against Buffalo, who is a tough defense, and everybody saw that one on TV. That was a crazy game. And then his raw projection, let's take a look and see what that is. So his receiving yard line is 75.5 on Prize Picks. And so they've got him, his raw projection is 6 for 90. So we got 90 yards. So that's well over his projection. I like him to go over that number. He's someone who, we all know, he's super fast. He can catch a screen ball and run 70 and break away. And he's got several games here, like he had a long as 64 last week. Hasn't really done a lot this year, as long as he had a long as 75 here, long of 44, long of 32, 38, 40. So he's someone, and this is a must-win game for Kansas City, so he's going to be heavily targeted, used in the offense. I love putting Chase and Tyreek together and hoping this game is just a blowout. When we go back and look, the next one I like, and this is probably my favorite one, is Joe Mixon receiving yards. So I looked at the Joe Mixon rushing yard prop, and when you come over here and you look at our cheat sheet, you can see Kansas City, they allow the 30th most yards per rush attempt at 4.7, so they get gashed on the ground. And Mixon's raw rushing yard number is 61.5. Prize Picks, I didn't write it down, but it was somewhere around that 50 to 60 number. But that's typically where he's at, 54, 48, 46, 65, 58, 58, 54. He doesn't really get over that number and kill it. So I do like Joe Mixon coming out of the backfield. I've been able to get his receiving yard prop at like 15.5. Then it jumped to 18.5 and then 20.5 over recent weeks. But I mean, look at this. He's got 6, 4, 7, and 6 receptions for 70, 40, 28, and 51 yards. So even the last time he played Kansas City here in Week 17, he caught 7 balls for 40 yards. And now Prize Picks did raise his prop. His receiving yard prop is up to 25.5, but still he's well over that. He did just get over that against the Raiders, but with as many targets and receptions as he's getting, I like his receptions and I like his reception yards over in this game. So Mixon is my favorite one to put in. That's the first one that I had locked in. And then another one I want to take a look at is Jerick McKinnon. He's looked phenomenal for Kansas City. Now, since CEH is back, he's going to get the majority of the rushing attempts, but McKinnon is going to come out of the backfield. And so McKinnon's raw projection here is 33.5 yards. I think that's a little low. And let's see, so the last 2 weeks, he's rushed for 24. He rushed 10 times last week, but CEH is back, so I expect him to get more of the carries. But receiving, he had 5 of 7 for 54 yards, so that was really good. Prior, he had 6 balls for 81 yards, so he's got 135 yards in the last 2 weeks with 11 grabs. and Price Picks has his number at 35.5 receiving yards. So I like that to go over. He'll get worked in. They won't overuse CEH, and CEH really hasn't been used a ton in the passing game. If you're looking for a rushing yards prop, I prefer CEH. He did look pretty decent last week. Let's take a look at his number real quick. So he rushed 7 times for 60 yards, had a long of 22, and then he only had 2 targets in the passing game. So if you're looking at rushing yards, Cincinnati does give up a chunk of yards on the ground. CEH would be my go-to there. They're giving up 4.4 yards per carry, and then over the last 3 games, they are giving up, oh wow. So if you look right here, you can see they're giving up 149 rushing yards per game over the last 3 games. So CEH rushing yards might be something that you look at. It didn't crack my top 7, so that's not one that I put in, but definitely something that we do want to take a look at. Another one that I thought was really low was Tyler Higby receiving yards. So I was impressed with Higby last week. He had 7 targets, 4 grabs for 51 yards. Prior to that, he had 46, 55, and 69 yards. So he's consistently in about that mid-40s, and he can get up to a high of about 70. But look at his targets, 7, 4, 8, 9, and 6. He's getting a healthy amount of targets in this Rams offense. And then his line was only 37.5 yards. If it was low 40s, I'd probably stay away, but anything less than 39, I really like that because I think that's something that he could easily get. I mean, he had a long last week of 29 and then 22 the week before, so he could technically have 2 grabs and get over this number without any issues. And it's a game where the Rams are not going to be able to run the ball. San Francisco is a ridiculous rush defense, so they're going to have to throw a little bit more. So Cooper Kupp is the obvious one. I like the Odell Beckham. Price Picks did not have a line on him. I'm told it's going to be right around 50, 50.5. I like the over there. But Higby over 37.5 receiving yards. That's a low number. That's an easy one that we can obtain, so I really like that one. So just to recap on Price Picks, my favorite props are Cam Akers under 55.5 rush yards, Mitchell over 66.5 rush yards, Chase, Tyreek Hill, Joe Mixon, Jerick McKinnon, and Tyler Higby receiving yards over are my favorite ones. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Thrive Fantasy because we know Thrive, they do some wanky stuff. So they've got a promotion here where every time so many people, every 50 users that bet on the over, they drop it by 5 yards. So I'm waiting on this to come down a little bit more. It started at, I think, 100.5. Now you can see here it's down to 85.5, but that's one that we will wait for it to come down and we will go over. Now, Thrive has a max of $10 that you can put on anything with the promo, so go ahead and use it to crank it up and get some free money. When I was scrolling down through Thrive, some of the ones that jumped out at me that we've previously discussed is Tyreek Hill receiving yards over. Now it's 76.5 here on, it was 75.5 on Price Picks. So Price Picks, you have a little bit more value, but I do like Tyreek to go over this number. Pringle I thought was a little high at 36.5. You can get better value on Kelsey over at Price Picks. I think he was 70.5 over there, so he's much higher on Thrive. 6.5 receptions, that's not bad. I do like the over there. Burrow, 290, that's not bad. Mixon, where did he go? So Mixon rush yards, 55.5. I think that's a good line. I don't really like that either way. I mean, he could go over that, but like we saw in his games, he's typically 50 to 55 rush yards every game, so I think that's a coin flip if he goes over or under. I do like the Jamar Chase yards over. It was 84.5 on Price Picks. It's 85.5 on Thrive, but a yard, I'll go ahead and take the over here. I don't mind that. T. Higgins is someone that we didn't talk about, and you can see he's kind of been all over the place. He has 3 games, well over 100, a 60, and then a 23. So he's kind of all over there. I don't mind him going over. One of the worries for Chase is that he's going to get double covered with Honey Badger over the top, and then that's going to open up T. Higgins because T. Higgins could get a lot of balls in this game. So if you don't like the Chase play, definitely roll with Higgins, or you can go vice versa. I would not put both of them together, but I would do one or the other because one of them is definitely going to go over. And then, like we said, my favorite receiving yard prop was Joe Mixon over 35.5 yards. Now, Thrive has a better line here, so this is why you need to shop around. So Thrive has this at 30.5 yards. So on Price Picks, we said it was, no, I'm sorry. Price Picks, it was 25.5 yards. So again, Price Picks has some more value. So 30.5 here, that is a little high. I prefer to take it on Price Picks at 25.5, but again, if you're only playing on Thrive, I don't mind that over. Scrolling down here at some of these other ones, the ones that I really liked on Thrive is Cam Akers. We talked about his rush yards. So this is the one where Thrive had better value. So it's 55.5 on Price Picks, but it's 62.5 on Thrive. So if you're going under, I really like this 62.5 here. You can see that's one that I've marked to go ahead and lock in. The rushing and receiving I stayed away from just because he could catch a long pass and go over this number, but just straight running the ball, there's no way he's getting over this 62.5. So I like that under and prefer it on Thrive. And you can see Cups base 102.5, but we've got the promo up top for the free square at 85.5 right now, which is coming down. I do like Beckham receiving yards. They did not have it on Price Picks this morning when I was writing everything out. Let's take a look here. So we had 18, 39, 37. So really not a lot, but I do like that to go over because like I said before, the Rams are going to have to throw the ball. Higby, Price Picks had it at 37.5, and then Thrive has it at 39.5, so a little bit higher over here. And then the Elijah Mitchell rushing yards, 69.5 on Thrive, and we had that at 66.5 on Price Picks. So Thrive, their lines, I know it seems like a little bit higher, but they pay out better. They have higher payouts. Price Picks, you get a little bit better lines, but you get less of a payout, but that's for a whole nother video. But either one you're playing on is fine. Just have some fun with it. So those are the ones I like right now. But other than that, I'm trying to keep this video short and sweet. We're under 17 minutes, so have a good day. Good luck.